What can you do in your video to encourage other people to comment? So to give you an example, what's up, fellow creators? It's Joseph here. I find it funny how across different social platforms, the audiences there tend to brand and classify their audiences differently. YouTube subscribers, Instagram followers, Facebook friends, TikTok fans or followers. I mean, people are still people, right? Regardless, engagement actions seem to stay consistent in nature. Likes and comments are always going to be likes and comments, and that's what we're going to be discussing in depth today as it pertains to TikTok. In fact, in today's TikTok, what we're going to do is we're going to outline 5 specific tactics that you can implement in your own content to increase the engagement on your videos with specific examples of my own content. And to top it off, we're going to spontaneously find some videos on the For You page live just to show you how these ideas really are common themes with a lot of viral videos. We'll be covering things from niching your hashtags to prompting active video participation, requesting engagement, cross-promoting, and even building community. Sound good? Awesome. Then without further ado, let's talk TikTok. Alright, so before we actually dive right into optimizing for likes, comments, and shares, we need to preface our discussion really quickly with some basic info about TikTok engagement. Now, I personally don't believe that TikTok places a whole lot of value on likes and comments as a staple or a determining factor for whether or not a piece of content should go viral. I mean, do a quick Google search and you'll see how easy it is to buy something like 30,000 likes or 10,000 comments on your video for a fairly reasonable price. Since it's so easy to, well, artificially manipulate these metrics, it would make sense if they weren't the be-all factor for making or breaking your video success. Now, on the other hand, shares, I do believe, have somewhat of an impact on your video success, because if you think about it, what better way for TikTok to determine the success of your video than how many other people are taking that idea and distributing it onto their own channels or within their own social networks. Now, the other aspect of your videos that is perhaps the elephant in the room and that matters the most is watch time, which I find increasingly has more value the longer the video. The longer you can retain an audience to watch your videos, the more likely TikTok is to promote that video, because after all, it's in its best interest since, by default, it's an ad-based business. Now, that being said, I've also seen and heard of several people commenting that once you achieve something like a 50% view to like ratio on your video, you'll achieve virality, or at least you're more likely to. Now, don't get me wrong, typically the more engagement the better, but I don't think there's necessarily a certain percentage that you have to hit that's going to guarantee you virality. If you look at the For You page, you'll find countless examples of videos on there that are massively underperforming on the likes and comments and are still garnering hundreds of thousands of views, and some of them even have their comments disabled for whatever reason and are still going viral. So secondly, and most importantly, right before we get into the good stuff, why does engagement even matter? Well, it's because of the social proof element. Because if you think about it, what is engagement to us as humans? Well, it's validation by others that this is a piece of content worth our time. If you're scrolling past videos on the For You page, and I know this is certainly the case for me, I'm willing to bet that you're scrolling past the videos that have 1, 2, 3, 4 likes, and you're spending the majority of your time engaging with videos that have 800,000, 900,000, 1.5 million because of that popularity. So obviously the more engagement the better, the more people are willing to engage with your content because they find it more appealing and it's seen as something worth watching. So let's talk about tip number 1, and that is niching your hashtags. Now, TikTok as a platform tailors the app experience to you. In fact, the whole objective of the For You page is literally its namesake, For You. If you engage with, let's just say, fitness content on a regular basis, you're going to be shown fitness content more often. One of the best ways for TikTok to determine what audience to show your videos to is by the hashtags associated with that video. If you're in the gaming niche and you're actively tagging a video with hashtag gamerlife, hashtag gamerbabe, hashtag COD3, or hashtag CODlive, that's a clear indication that your content is meant specifically for gamers. If TikTok can show your content to people who are actually proven to engage with that niche or genre, such as gaming, the more likely and longer people are to stay on the platform, which is a win for TikTok, and it's a win for you because you attract quality, hyper-targeted viewers. So needless to say, focus on making your hashtags relevant to your content. There's a couple of ways to go about this. Number 1, take a look at the top performing figures in your niche. Look at their most viral videos. What hashtags were used there? You want to model your videos or the structure of your hashtags off of their success. You might also consider searching your niche on TikTok and scrolling over to hashtags and using some of the top performing hashtags that are featured there. So that being said, let's find some live examples on the For You page of videos with niched hashtags. So here's an example right here, Zach King's recent video. He's tagging the entire airplane theme of this with the 3 hashtags airplane, fly, and invention. Now, in my opinion, those are very, very broad, but I know that's Zach's style. So here's one, Dr. Cracks. Now, this is actually someone I've heard of before on TikTok. Chiropractor doing an amazing job. And take a look at his hashtags. Chiropractor, chiropractic, satisfying education, educational, low back pain helpful, and we can see some of his others. So it's extremely relevant to his niche, which is obviously in the medical industry. He's a chiropractor. This is a great example. I'm actually going to drop this guy a follow because I might reach out to him later. Here's another example of The Rock getting very specific with hashtag you're welcome and hashtag Moana, which are very relevant themes in obviously the song he's singing. And finally, here's one last example of a photographer who's not only hashtagging his location, but hashtag photography, hashtag photo magic, hashtag tutorial, and other things relevant to the photography industry in general. Point number 2 is prompting active video participation. Active participation is anything that gives viewers the chance to be an actual part in your content. What can you do in your video to encourage other people to comment? So to give you an example, at Brody Austin on TikTok, who's actually been featured here on my channel, he recently had his video where he had his mom talking in the background, and he encouraged his users in the captions to comment what his mom is talking about. Now, the video actually ended up getting over 6 million views, and a lot of the engagement on it were hilarious comments of people purposely misinterpreting what his mom was saying. Austin also, in some of his other videos, also encouraged his viewers to spot the difference between certain takes, which I thought was quite clever. I'm actually doing a video series coming soon on TikTok where I'm having a friend do jumping jacks in the back of the video, and the caption or the bubble text that appears on screen is going to be prompting the viewers to comment how many jumping jacks you think he did. So the whole idea here is to come up with ideas that prompt people to engage with the video because of something that within the video itself that you've optimized specifically for engagement. So that being said, let's find a video example on the For You page. So here's an example right here of an insanely creative photographer who's doing photography tricks and hacks on the beach. And what he's doing is, if you look at the captions, he's encouraging people to comment which of the tricks, which of the creative hacks are their favorite. And that's something that you can only provide a reasonable or objective answer on after you watch all of them and you have all the options before you. And so he's encouraging that analysis and that active participation of looking at everything before you reach a conclusion of your own. So that's an example of encouraging that active participation. Point number 3 is requesting engagement, and this is pretty straightforward because sometimes if you don't ask, you don't get. And honestly, the easiest way to do this is to ask a question in the captions or even the comments. For instance, just to give you an example of how this idea is utilized in my own content, I recently created a random video series on TikTok called I Had a Dream, where I basically chronicle with TikTok's new voiceover feature crazy random dream occurrences. And my caption specifically was requesting viewers to comment one of their crazy dreams that I'll later turn into a future video. And I've gotten so many replies from this, I literally have my next 30 to 100 dreams sketched out, or those next videos already planned. So if your niche is something like, let's just say basketball or trick shots, you might consider asking questions like, what is your favorite basketball trick shot in this video? Or to reference Austin's videos, just like we did earlier, one of his videos was asking people for future content ideas for his trick shots, which again, I thought was quite clever. Another approach would be to ask people to like, comment, and follow if you say promise something and then fulfill it in the video. For instance, I've seen several videos where users would have something like a dartboard in their videos and they would say, if I make this shot, then be sure to like, comment, and follow me for future more impressive videos. When they do make it, especially if it was something challenging and difficult, it's almost implied that a follow is your end of the deal since you watched the video and the creator was successful. Especially when starting out, it's those little things like asking for engagement that can often convert 10% more of your viewers into engaging users, and especially with larger videos, that can mean a world of difference for your account. Point number 4 is cross promotion. So we already discussed initially why an engaging audience is so important, but especially when you're starting out, it can be quite difficult to build up that active fan base. One of the best ways to initially kickstart growth is to announce on your Facebook, your Instagram, your YouTube that you're starting on TikTok as your next social media venture. I've seen many brands, businesses, musicians, and even some of the TikTok users that I'm coaching do this with much success. If you have a significant following elsewhere, then consider doing a story or an image post where you let your audience know that you'll be showing behind the scenes content over on TikTok, along with a few other surprises that they might like. Give them an incentive to join you on TikTok and to engage with your content, because the very last thing that you want, especially when you're just starting out, are passive viewers who simply add to the follower or the view count and that's it with no other purpose. So that being said, point number 5 is building community. Depending on the size of the account and of course the status of the creator, replying to people who comment to them can often feel like winning the lottery. In order to build community long term and to manufacture trust at scale, you need to show that you're committed to your audience by engaging with them. If people see that you're actively replying, not just with an emoji emoji, but with a genuine reply or even a question, they will be more encouraged to participate in conversation with your future content, and congrats, you've just gained a loyal fan. So for me and some of the accounts that I'm actively growing, I've made it a priority to respond to at least 30% of those who engage with me. In fact, even being completely honest, even with that I Had a Dream series, I get a whole lot of inspiration from some of the conversations that I have with some of my fans by asking them questions and then hearing their reply. However, community also has a second part. It's not just focusing on your own profile and videos, but also those of others as well. Just like in any business or even a networking mentality, you make connections by putting yourself out there. So here's a bit of an action step for this video. I want you to create a list of around 3 to 5 creators who are very similar in your niche, whose success that you want to model. Comment on every single one of their posts, and I promise you, with enough consistency, people or even them will begin to notice. So I actually do the same thing with around 5 other creators who I believe are really geniuses on TikTok in my specific niche, which is all about magic and visual effects, but that's certainly a conversation for another time. So that being said, if you feel that you got something out of this video, whether it was value, entertainment, insight, education, would you mind liking it down below? See, there we go, asking for engagement. But seriously, listen guys, thank you so much for watching this far. I'd really appreciate it if you drop a comment down below with your video takeaways, or comment TikTok to the top, and I'll be reaching out to one of you who do so this week with something special. Thanks guys again for watching, and as always, we'll talk next time. Take care. Cheers.